right? Side by side. It is not going to look nice this way. So what you need to do is that, first of all, the same thing that you did, you need to place these two separate sections on top of each other. So that the first thing is going to eradicate the word overflow on the side. You understand? So if you do that, it will remove those sidelines, and then you can now work on, you can now see what you're working on. Now, how do you place them on top of each other like this? Display of flex, right? Flex direction of column. But you already gave your header a display of flex before. See, in your code. So you don't have to do it again in your what's the name of this? No, in your media query. All you have to do is just go ahead and say header, call your header out. Now in your normal desktop, it was a word, flex direction of row. Just change the flex direction to what? Column. That's all you have to do. So if you check it out now, what do you have? It is not going to be on top. Now, part of this has now been eradicated. Part of the overflow. But it is still there because somehow, your image that is here is too big, that is still cutting to this place. So you need to reduce this image. We'll get to that part. Now, this is not looking nice on a mobile view. Why is it not looking nice? Because there's a clip part. It doesn't make any sense putting clip part on a mobile device. Because one thing that you don't want to over engineer or over complicate your design. Your design has to be made. What if the client wants? Now, there are three things. What you think is right, what your user will think is right, and what your client wants. Now, let's say you have a freelancer and you have a client, and they say, put this line, I want this line. I will explain to you, if you put this line, it's not going to look nice to your users and all. But if you still want me to put it, I will go ahead and put it. So if you're not having low engagement on your website, or people are not even purchasing anything on your website, that is not my fault. That is now on you, the client. You understand now? So you've done your due diligence now. Okay, you cannot overcomplicate your design. Your design has to be minimalistic and very, very, very simple. Now, simple does not mean that it's not going to be fine. Their Facebook design is simple, but it's fine. How do I say it's simple? There are no unnecessary clip parts. There are no unnecessary calls. Your profile picture is round, normal thing. Everything is what simple, fine. It does not mean that simple things are not fine. In fact, I feel like when you overcomplicate designs, they will not be fine again. You understand it now? So we need to remove this clip part. So to remove the clip part, all I have to do is say clip part of none. You know, to put the clip part before, we put clip part and some random things. Right now, we're just saying going to say clip part, and I'm just going to say none. Now, to remove the clip part now, it's not going to what? Automatically remove. Now, as you can see, the image is overflowing a little bit on the right. So we need to reduce the width of the image. To reduce the width of the image, you're going to go ahead and say your header dot images, then your img. I'm going to reduce the width, and I'm going to set it to 300 pixels. Now, if you check it out now, what I'm going to have, it is smaller and better. Now, one last thing that I think we also need to work on is this white one here. It is not here on the design, it's where? It is right here. So we need to remove it. How do we remove it? How do we move it from here to here? We use your relative rather than absolute. So we can use relative, and I can say header dot images dot text. Then I can say position of relative. Now that I have to change from absolute. No, on this page is absolute. Present. Yeah, is absolute. Now that I'm not changing to relative, I specified position of relative. But if it's that I just want to continue with this thing, I don't need to say absolute. I cannot go ahead and say bottom of right hand. But right now I want to change the position. That's when you cannot say position again. Now, when I say position of relative, it brought it down. I need to shift it back to the what? To the left, to this place. Right? So I cannot say left of what? 20 pixels. Or left of 1%. So it is going to move it back to that side. And I need to take it up a little bit to make it look better. Then I'm going to give it a bottom of 160 pixels. And if you check it out now, we should have it all good. I gave the nav a display of none, just to like, I don't want to show it. Now, if I remove this display of none now, I should have the nav back. You understand? But I don't want the nav to show because for now, we're not going to deal with the nav. It's not going to do anything for us right now. So right now, we should have everything that we need. And now, what I just wanted to do for me is the same thing that we've just done, right? Go ahead and try to implement it with your the assignment that I gave to you last week. The assignment I gave to you last week was work on that Figma file. That's work on the edge, sorry, the about section, right? That was the assignment. Now, this week's assignment is that you should make it responsive. I hope everybody is listening. The about that I gave to us last week, that I said we should do. You know that, right? Now, this week, you have to make it responsive. So just think about something. Okay, how can this look better on mobile? How can this look better on tablet? You understand? So whenever we are resizing, it has to work. In our next class, we'll be going into something much more different from HTML and CSS. Okay, from HTML and CSS. In our next class, we're talking about Git and GitHub version control system. And now we are getting into something much more functional, rather than just design. We're going into something much more functional than everything I've been doing. So on Friday, we'll be going into Git and GitHub. So just try as much as possible to read on Git and GitHub or version control system. So everything is already on the portal. Don't worry. I've shared my screen. So if you are at the top, this is the top one. Here's the bottom. So go ahead, check the portal, read on version control system, Git and GitHub. It's fine. You can just do it. So now that's what we'll be doing next week. So, but for now, do we have any questions? Does everybody understand what we've been talking about so far? Let me stop recording. If there's a question, please go ahead and ask.